Hello everybody, this is a video for Techno Dad who asked for a little video on using DearVR Pro. So without further ado, we'll have a quick look at DearVR Pro. I've got 4 tracks here: drums, bass, guitar and a flute. This is just raw recorded stems basically. Let me just turn this down a little bit. Just raw stereo stems, and on each I've placed DearVR Pro. So they're all disabled at the moment, but I'm going to describe the reflections section and the reverb section. The output format will be binaural, so wear headphones, but DearVR Pro supports a lot of speaker formats and ambisonics as well. I'll come back to that just to quickly show something that is quite useful. But essentially, audio comes in here, gets panned, then a reverb is applied based on that panned position, and this little light green circle represents the sound playing. Reflections are represented by these vertical and horizontal lines, and you can view the space from the side, top or rear. For a lot of music, a lot of this panning will be obviously in front of the listener, unless something lends itself to being behind. The elevation is a separate control, which we'll demonstrate as well. Okay, I'm just going to solo these drums, and we'll enable DearVR Pro that's disabled at the moment. Okay, so you can immediately hear that there's some filtering going on, and that is partly the binaural. The binaural is basically trying to emulate how that sound would sound to you within this space. So you can see we're supposed to be in a 12 meter space to the kind of far walls. We're in a cube basically, although the reflections are assumed to be a little bit more lower. We're not in a square box in terms of these reflections. So the reflections themselves, good thing with DearVR Pro is you can separate the reverb from the reflection. So if I separate the reverb and just increase the reflection gain, you'll hear the reflections. So it kind of starts making that flange sound. And as you move the object closer to a wall, that reflection for this object has only got to go to this wall and then back to your ear. But obviously it's also going all the way across to this wall and then back to this ear. Some of it's going in this ear as well. And so that's what the reflections represent. If we put the object back in front of us, and if in real-time auralization mode, you can actually move these walls. I'll just bring the left wall in and the right wall in. You can hear now that even though this has got a lot of gain on it, there's almost no time reflection because we're probably the wall's only a metre away from our ears now. In reality, you wouldn't really use that effect unless perhaps you were trying to simulate something recording in a very narrow hallway, or maybe in a movie or something. Someone's calling through narrow space, and that would emulate that space. So we'll put the reverb back on. I've only put it on the studio room because it's quite a clean room for music, but you can hear that if I turn the reflections off, you can hear that's the reverb being played over the top. Most of the time you'll leave this at around 0. We'll put the reflections back on and take the gain down. Okay, so it's pretty subtle, but when you got lots of individual tracks, that's what you want, unless you really want to highlight some reverb space. So we'll just go through and bring these tracks back in. We'll enable they've all got basically the same DVR Pro panner. I've done some basic panning, so this bass is a little bit to the left of the listener. This lead guitar, I'll put him a little bit to the right. They're all in the same studio room. Often you'll find quite nice results, especially for live music like this, to keep everyone in the same room. But then if you want to create, effects of different space, especially in electronic music, then obviously there's a lot of choice here. Just add in that last flute sound. Okay, so that flute's just in front of us. Everything comes through from the left channel of a stereo track. If I just expand this is stereo, but what feeds DearVR Pro is really only the left channel. The manual does say that the right feeds it as well, but it's always silent, so I don't know what they mean by that. And other videos I've seen, this is nearly always to the left. The plugin itself has 16 mono outputs. Ignore this is stereo, that's just how Bitwig represents mono as well in a stereo channel. And so when you select a different output format, if we selected, say, Dolby Atmos 7.1.4, you can see we've got levels in all 7.1.4 channels basically. And as we pan this around, you'll see those levels change as more amplitude has to go to whatever the corresponding speaker would be. So if I took it back round to the front and elevated it, you'll see that these lower channels are now glowing a bit more. Oh, sorry, I didn't actually elevate them. Yeah, so you can see these higher channels, which represent the height speakers, they've now got a lot of signal in them. You're not hearing it because we're in a 7.1.4 output, and only these first two channels you can hear. So that's all that happens with the output format. On a DAW that could support 7.1.4, all 7.1.4 channels of audio would be coming out your speakers. But for this demo, we'll go back to binaural, so you can see everything's in these first two channels now, which is left and right basically. That's basically how you use it. Obviously, just like any plugin, you can automate this. So, say this flute player was walking around, you can automate that. If, say, you knew that this bass player, it wasn't recorded in front of you to the left like that. It was recorded to the right, and maybe he was on some sort of platform or something. You could emulate that and bring him up in the space. But a lot of the time for music, it sounds better if you're a bit more conservative. But you get the idea. You play to get the sounds to mix just like any other. You've got this LFE channel, which can only be fed when you're using the channels that support like a subwoofer, like Dolby Surround or Dolby Atmos. So that's what that's all about. I think that's about it. The performance mode is just trying to give you a slightly higher quality of audio, and this real-time auralization, that is what allows you to adjust all this in real time, because it's obviously using more processing power. So yeah, that's basically it. If I just isolate all the effects, you'll hear the overall difference, and with that I'll sign out.